Thank you, Geshe, and it's 10:30 now, so we'll begin with our prayers. So we'll begin with the preliminary prayers, and Damdul will just scroll down to the prayers where they begin. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma. To dispel all perverted views, to you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma. To dispel all perverted views, to you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma. To dispel all perverted views, to you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is freed of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, which through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacification to complete peace, which through the knowledge of path causes those helping migrators to achieve the aims of the world, and through the possession of which helps subdue as expound a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector, to you I make prostrations. The one who has illuminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays, to you, the Buddha, I make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then we'll just play this mantra in Geshe-la's voice.
Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yamatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashamanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha.
And the meaning of the mantra is that all phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear light, and non-composite. Such is the nectar-like dharma I have discovered. Finding no one to fathom this teaching in silence, I will retire into the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unseized, and has the nature of space. It is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times, I pay obeisance. Damdul, I think you have to scroll down further. Thank you. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are of the nature of suffering. All phenomena of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha. The Guru is the Dharma. Likewise, the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not wash the negativities of beings, nor does he remove the miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the Dharma for all bewildered in misery's gloom. Parting from the four attachments. If you attach to this life, you're not a spiritual practitioner. If you attach to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you attach to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When on supreme among humans you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides and said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean, like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With a supreme science, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust-free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the Tathagata, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts. To you, the Sangha, I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of fault, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death.
Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgati Bodhi Swaha Tyata 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 Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasamgate bodhisvatyatha Om gate gate paragate Parasamgate bodhisvatyatha Om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisvaha.
That was the Heart Sutra mantra. And we will just recite the aspirational bodhicitta verses. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Sangha. I generate the mind of bodhicitta to resolutely accomplish the aims of others and myself. Having generated the mind of supreme enlightenment, I invite all sentient beings to be my guests and shall engage in the delightful and excellent practices of full enlightenment. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Sangha. I generate the mind of bodhicitta to resolutely accomplish the aims of others and myself. Having generated the mind of supreme enlightenment, I invite all sentient beings to be my guests and shall engage in the delightful and excellent practices of full enlightenment. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Sangha. I generate the mind of bodhicitta to resolutely accomplish the aims of others and myself. Having generated the mind of supreme enlightenment, I invite all sentient beings to be my guests and shall engage in the delightful and excellent practices of full enlightenment. May I become Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwelt in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I to successively train in the bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwelt in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I to successively train in the bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successively dwelt in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I to successively train in the bodhisattva practices. Thank you, Namdula. Welcome back, Geshe. Thank you for continuing the teachings for us today. And welcome
Thank you.
everybody else.
Thank you, Sneha. Snehaji, thank you so much. And thanks, Namdullah. And whoever is the Hadi staff, Tibet House, and all the participants. Yesterday, what we discussed is first how we began our talk was what are we seeking from very secular, not as the follower of the Buddha or not as follower of anybody, just as a very secular person. What am I seeking? I'm seeking to minimize my miseries and maximum happiness. This is how we began. Then with this, what we said is that to stop the miseries and expand the happiness, do we have that potential? The answer is yes. Each one of us, we have the Buddha nature, the hidden treasure. And in fact, it's not just a story, it's not just the theology. The reality is that whatever we are, say, experiencing joys, happiness outside versus the joy and happiness that if we can evoke from inside, comparing the two, there's no way by which to compare the two. The one which is inside is far, 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 is like the whole cosmos in comparison with the tiny, the tiny spark. So there's no comparison at all. This is number one. That is something that we need to gain conviction in. Once you gain conviction at this point, then the next is that how to retrieve this. This is the next question. So for that, we need to know what obstructs us from having this treasure being manifested. So coming to know, analyzing what these obstructions are, we come to discover that the obstructions, technically speaking, referred to as the afflictive obscurations and the cognitive obscurations. And the afflictive obscurations, we learned these are the obstructions in a mind which obstruct us from attaining fearlessness, which obstruct us from attaining or from stopping all the painful tears of samsara. And the cognitive obscurations, which is like the subtle stain of the mental defilements, these are the obstructions to stop us from letting your mind expand so freely across all atoms of the universe. So given that these two are the obstructions, and we now need to resort to the remedy. And the remedy lies in the wisdom of emptiness. Given that all these obstructions, some of them are connected to ignorance, the remedy lies in the wisdom. And precisely what wisdom? The wisdom must be directly in contradiction or antithetical with respect to the ignorance. And given that ignorance is related to the ignorance viewing things as objectively real, the wisdom should be the wisdom to cognize things as empty of objective reality. So this is wisdom. The next is, from this we come to realize that in our life, no matter what we're going through, so whether you're very rich, very poor, very powerful, less powerful, or say, influential, less influential, youthful, old, or physically so healthy, physically so weak, there's no excuse. Each one of us and what kind of state that you have obtained at the moment, say healthy, not healthy, and so forth, is all related to your previous karma. So karma is totally unpredictable. What kind of karmas we have gathered in the past, we never know. Now our job is, don't just let us be driven by the current of the karmas. Instead, we have to make sure that we gain control of your own karma rather than karma dictating on us. So for that, how to do so is by knowing the function. It's not that we can overcome the law of karma. It's not that we can overcome the law of the dependent origination. We are within the domain of the dependent origination. We are within the domain of the law of karma. Within the law of karma, how to make sure that the karma does not invade us, instead we determine the karma. And within the play of dependent origination. So for that, the understanding of emptiness, that is so precious. So we are so lucky that that somebody may be like presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, and so forth, and there's so much power. And particularly, I would say in the olden times, look at the big pyramids. These are the proof that what kind of the power that they enjoyed. But now where are they? We never know. It's just the karma which decides. It's not that they from scratch, they put effort, they decide everything, become a pharaoh. No. This is karma which took them to become one like that. And what next? We never know. The karma decides. So now we have to do things so that the karma is nothing but our own actions. Our actions to be decided by ourselves. So we need to know with the play of dependent origination. Within that, see, within the domain of dependent origin, how to say they create the factors and dependent upon which we can maneuver, which we can create the karmas in such a way that you have everything in your hand. You decide what your future, what your plight in the future is going to be like. So with this in mind, with this in mind, that we come to discover that number one, with karma, we are so fortunate that we have come in contact with this teaching of the Buddha's teachings. One. Number two, that we are so fortunate that it's not that we have put effort in that direction, but we're so fortunate that the karma, we have done such a karma, intentionally, unintentionally, whatever, it now gives a shape to us to come in contact with this Holiness the Dalai Lama. And now we are learning about this, the comprehensive picture of how to awaken your sort of the treasure, hidden treasure within us. And so that our tears of samsara, all our limitations of a life of samsara will come to an end. And you are the qualities, happiness, joy, all just expand to infinity. So this is what we are with now. So with this, what we said is that what we've discovered today is that there is finally to determine my own destination. Wisdom of emptiness is one. Determine destination in line with what I wish. Finally, it is wisdom of emptiness. This is number one. This is what we said yesterday. And this wisdom of emptiness, to what extent this wisdom of emptiness will remove the mental defilements so that the Buddha nature, the insight within us will be awakened. That is determined by the motivation. They say the axe, however sharp the axe is, this axe will not determine whether it's going to cut the poisonous tree, the huge poisonous tree, or the tiny poisonous tree. So that the axe doesn't decide. The motivation and the enthusiasm decides. So this motivation and enthusiasm, the best of which is the bodhicitta. Because why we require bodhicitta? If somebody would ask you what degree of happiness that you are seeking, are you seeking 10% happiness, 20% happiness, or 100% happiness, or you want to stop the tears, 80% or 90% or 50%, or make it 0? Yes, of course, we'll say, I want the misery 0. I don't want anybody to steal my right, steal my the freedom. And I want to have my happiness infinity. If this is the case, then the motivation that we employ, that we resort to, must be very, very powerful, most powerful one, so that the X, the sharp X to the wisdom of emptiness, be utilized in the most effective way. So if this were the case, what is that motivation? That motivation is none other than the motivation of the bodhicitta, altruistic intention to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. Next, what we said is that, so now we have the two of these things, the wisdom of emptiness, the altruistic bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind of the bodhicitta. And to feel this bodhicitta, we need to have a sense of, the renunciation. So this, again, we discussed yesterday, without you feeling the pain of samsara, you cannot really empathize that with others. So when you have a sense of renunciation, wanting to be freed from the ensnarement, wanting to be freed from the prison of samsara, it's acutely painful samsara. In fact, see, many of us, we don't know. We don't know. And the earlier, I used to hear from some teachers that our body itself is the source of miseries. And later on, when I look at our body, we see that particularly say people who are healthy, you will not get any idea. And the young people, young boys and young girls who are at the peak of their youth, and particularly like a celebrity, they think that they're divine. Not just a divine, even the divine. What is divine? God and goddesses, even they will also come down. Karma exhausts and they'll come down. But it's so like you feel, it's so like perfection, celebrity. But they say the millions of people follow you and you walk in a very different way, that you feel that you are somebody, and the people you see you as something like divine floating in the air. This is all just illusion. So The point is that our body is just amazing source of a source of pain. Everywhere is a source of pain. For example, say something goes wrong with the blood. Something goes wrong with blood, leukemia, blood cancer. Then something goes with the platelets. There's a problem. Something goes with the autoimmune, immunity killing itself, autoimmune. It's a problem. And for no reason, your body starts to become, fat. There's a problem. For no reason, your body becomes thin. You're losing weight. You eat so much, still you keep losing weight, keep losing weight. This is it's a very scary experience. And then for no reason, suddenly there's something happening on your hand and your hand has to be amputated. How many such things are there? There are trillions. If you think like this body is very, very scary. And then we polish this, we wash this, we make it so beautiful, we make it so appealing. Is extremely, we are in number one is worse than the what do you call it, a ditch. Dish is okay, it smells, it's dirty, but worse than that is a source of the worst of the unbelievable pains. This is, and then they say that today we all look so healthy. So I'm talking with my hands moving and you are listening attentively, you're using your screen, and suddenly we end up into the bed where you totally become immobile, your muscles are useless. It becomes like an elastic, and then you don't have any control. And so you have to depend. It's extremely very scary. This is samsara. And we never thought about these things. I never thought about these things. Only when I come to get glimpses of the information from this small bits of pieces here and there, and gradually put them together is very scary. So therefore, the more we think about this, and then the wisdom of emptiness is so precious. Each one of us, I know each one of us our own limitations. Each one of us, we have our own problems. But these problems are nothing. It's just a tiny dot. And considering the millions of complications that can potentially be with our body. So from the bone, for no reason, some bone you start with pain. And those we don't have these problems thus far, we think that, no, it is maybe for somebody else, but for some, we never know. So say you have some pain and gradually it's said, this pain, there's excessive growth happening. And then suddenly even the looks at my hand looks so normal. And gradually there's some kind of the growth happening. And then it becomes huge growth. This is what samsara is. So with this in mind, at the renunciation, only when we feel that this is so important for us, saying, instead of just going through, of course, here all the participants I can see that, except for Laksh or some younger ones. Otherwise, most of us will not really scroll into the reels all the time. Otherwise, the majority of people, they go to reels and then they are intoxicated. Intoxicated, and they think that this is the first underneath is a fire, and on top of this the flowers put, and then you say flowery, right? And then today you say you come on the reel dancing, and tomorrow you're bedridden, you're bedridden, and then you cry, and then if possible, you dance, and also the next reel should be when you're crying in pain. Then same person should see the two sides, the reality and the facade. So this is how we are being deceived. By the way, this step is samsara. Otherwise, samsara will terminate, and who will take care of the samsara? So the samsara, there should be somebody there in samsara. So this is how the samsara, lures us let us forget the reality and show the surface. So nice, so nice. Okay, so but the wise people think deeper, not the surface, and go deeper and deeper. We realize that, oh, our human body, one is an incredibly great vessel to take us to, say, with this human body, we have a human thinking. With this human thinking, bodhicitta is possible, renunciation is possible, wisdom is possible, enlightenment is possible. But if you're engrossed with with this boat to cross the ocean of samsara, we're so fascinated by the boat, not forgetting the goal. Then the boat inside, when you check it, is even a tiny screw, you miss it, it can drown. So this is what our body is. Downsides, it's extremely scary. The positive side, no matter how much we have the problems they can be, but this is the boat to take us to nirvana and Buddhahood. So with this mind, renunciation, this is so important. So we have the wisdom emptiness, bodhicitta, and renunciation, 3. Then plus, to stabilize these 3, we have the shamatha meditation. If possible, to make it more technical, the union of the shamatha and special insight. That's required to stabilize and make make these 3 practices very efficient and the dexterously efficient, and the stability and the rigor, both the stability given by the shamatha and rigor given by the special insight meditation. So this is what is required. So this is what I'm sharing with you. If you can think of the Buddha's teachings, we see that the Buddha indicated, summarized all teachings of Buddha as commit no evils, accumulate as great wealth of virtues as possible, tame your mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. So 4 lines. And the first teaching, commit no evils, is renunciation. All our miseries, they arise from the evil actions, negativities, and the non-virtues. So stay away from the evil and negativities. Staying away from evil and negativities, that is renunciation, to make sure that you don't experience pains. You're freed from pains that derive from harming others. Number 1, renunciation. Accumulate as great wealth of virtues as possible. Given that you want the maximum happiness, which is Buddhahood, this maximum happiness is the result of the virtues, and the happiness is the result of virtues, and the maximum happiness is because of the maximum virtues. So the Buddha taught, accumulate as great wealth of virtues as possible. Number 2. Then how to do that? Okay, don't engage negativities, engage virtues. Just by saying this will not help. The Buddha taught, tame your mind. It's not that easy. That is to be done through taming the mind. It doesn't mean that change your mind. It says tame your mind. These are different. Tame your mind. Tame your mind means go through training. Go through training. It's not that easy. So what kind of training required? So for that, we have to practice the wisdom as the most fearless mind, as the ultimate remedy to overcome all your limitations, miseries, tears, and so forth. And that must be supported by the incredibly great motivation, which is the bodhicitta. And bodhicitta must be supported, must have the foundation of the renunciation. And these 3 things must be reinforced in the rigor and stability by the shamatha, the union of shamatha and special insight. So these are the 4 things that we require to have to make sure that whatever we are doing in our life, whatever Dhamma practice that you're doing, it doesn't matter. As long as you are somebody who likes to get away from all the miseries and to expand the happiness for yourself to infinity, and to likewise to remove the miseries of others, and instill in happiness to others. If you are of this kind, then these are the 4 things we have to do. You are no exception. Anybody, no exception. We have to do these 4 things. And with these 4 things, you can go anywhere. You can practice the Theravada Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, within Tibetan Buddhism, Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gelu, it doesn't matter. You can go anywhere as long as you have these four things intact. Whereas, say, the biggest of the labels of this, this instruction, this bit instruction, and so forth, if any of these four is missing, you are deceiving yourself. So this is what we need to remember. Having said this, given that today is the last, the final conclusion day, so let me now explain quickly each of these points. The first, so the shamatha meditation. And then later on, we will also think of the union of the shamatha and the special insight, not just shamatha. Union of shamatha and special insight. Special insight, yesterday I did mention this, in Sanskrit it is known as Lakton, and Tibetan, sorry, in Sanskrit known as Vipassana, in Tibetan it is known as Lakton. But I prefer not to use the word Vipassana for the reason that many people, they can easily confuse this word Vipassana with the attentive Vipassana training. These two are very different. So therefore, I prefer to use the word special insight for the English audience, whereas in Tibetan, Lakton is okay. So we have the shamatha, the union of shamatha and the special insight meditation. For the time being, I'll explain to you, because that to explain the union of these two, we require a whole one session. And given that we don't have one session now, because that whole one session just on this topic, so bodhicitta, renunciation bodhicitta, the wisdom are all to be covered. So therefore, I'll just quickly go into the shamatha. With respect to shamatha, the whole purpose is to stabilize your mind, to make your mind from the ball of cotton to a ball of diamond, very stable with the gravity. So how to change that? We require the shamatha meditation. And for the shamatha meditation, what is important is that we have to first get a training instruction from a very standard teacher. There must be a proper lineage. It should not be just like somebody who learns some bits and pieces from here and there, and then from what what do you call it, from the YouTube, and then they become gurus, right? And then they charge you money. They charge you like $10,000, and then instant enlightenment and so forth, and then $10,000 and so forth. If this is what they're going to do, then why should they have to charge $10,000? Instead, they become Buddha themselves. And with Buddha, then you can have, infinite dollars. No need to charge from the ordinary bill. This is totally deception, and people are deceived. I don't understand it. Okay, so therefore, the point is that it must be from a very standard teacher. Don't just be carried away. And I don't know why I'm saying all these things. It is like they say there's expression, converting the converted. So so people who already know these things, I'm telling you, I should be telling this to a different platform. But yeah, this is but when I say this, keep in mind that, okay, these are things to be noted. And then when you get your own platform, different from this platform, then you share these things so that others will be well informed. Okay. So for the shamatha, what is very important is that so the 4 points. Number one, I'm not going to go into details because that all the faces that I see, you are well exposed to all these things, and each point will take a whole minimum 2-3 sessions. So, and then should there be new people, new beginners here, don't worry. Listen to and particularly the points that I'm making, rushing through, try to note them down. And later on, you try to check with the seniors, for example, here. And then they check with, okay, what is this? For example, like what are the 4 points? How can we go through each one of these 4 points? And so for the details, you work on your own. And then, of course, we can also help you. At Tibet House, we have all the recordings of the early teachings available. Okay, so the 4 points, one is the body posture. Number 2, the focal point meaning what are you going to meditate on? And then for the focal point, there are so many versions of focal point. And from there, you just pick up something which is more viable, which is something more suitable for you. And after all, it must come from a very very authentic lineage. And then the number 3 is identifying the errors of meditation. So when you meditate, you, me, all of us, even the seniors, we should be very mindful of the meditation. When you do the meditation, what kind of the errors can happen, like 2, mental laxity and mental excitement. Mental laxity is the inactivity of the mind, and mental excitement is the overactivity of the mind. So these 2 are the 2 problems. When these 2 things do happen, then you have to go for number 4, applying the remedies to overcome the errors. Remedies to overcome the errors. So make sure that when you are in the grip of these 2 the problems, 2 errors, you should instantly apply the remedies. Otherwise, you can build a very bad habit of abiding into the flaws of the meditation, and then in the process, the medicines can turn into poison. Meditation is to heal you, it can destroy you. Okay, so what kind of remedies to apply? 2 remedies: introspection and mindfulness. These 2 are extremely important for us to identify the function of the introspection, to keep an eye on the mind, to see whether the mind is meditating or in a lax state or an excited state. If you do see that your mind is distracted by lax state or excited state, you have to instantly use the mindfulness, the rope of the mindfulness, to bring the mind back to internal object of the meditation. So that is so crucial. So that is, and then these are very general presentations or general instructions. And in the process of you actually engaging in these practices, you are bound to face with some difficulties, some challenges, which may not be 100% say identical the way the manner in which the general instructions given. So there you have to meet with your teachers. And the teacher is simply not just somebody who is, who is learned or who takes the name of a good teacher. No, somebody who's actually practicing. That's very important. Otherwise, you can end up with problems, more problems. So make sure that don't follow after the name and fame. Just by name and fame, this is very dangerous. You can end up into a disaster. So make sure that you identify, if possible, the first thing that we need to do is that from your, say, groups, like people of the level, from there, you just seek second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion. So who can be a good teacher to guide you? And from there, you identify some other people who are more learned, more experienced, and again, you seek a second opinion, third opinion, fourth, and then gradually from your own experience also. So when you meditate yourself, you come to see some problems which are very unique to yourself and very nuanced problems. And then you bring this up to somebody. If the person can easily identify this, yes, you are talking about this, which means that that person is also meditating. Whereas if the person takes you to a very general, or you may rule out saying that, no, this is not really the case, you have to do like this, which means that most likely the other person may not be understanding you so well. And sometimes you may be exaggerating. Okay, these are the very complicated things. So we have to make sure that, in other words, what you're doing is proper. So this is the first, the shamatha meditation. Next is the renunciation. For the renunciation, the extensive speaking, to be more extensive, all these teachings on Lamrim, particularly Lamrim teachings, and there are 2 volumes by Lama Tsongkhapa in English. In Tibetan is 1 volume. In English, there are 3 volumes. And the first volume is dedicated just for the renunciation practice. And second volume is dedicated for the bodhicitta practice. And the third is dedicated for the shamatha and the bodhicitta. Shamatha, the union of shamatha and special insight, sorry, not bodhicitta, union of shamatha and special insight with the focus on wisdom of emptiness. So wisdom, the emptiness is the object to be used for the union of the shamatha and the special insight. So that is the third volume. So we see that with respect to, I would say that with respect to your practice of these three principal aspects of the path, along with the union of shamatha meditation, shamatha and the vipassana, for those of us who are so well exposed to the Dharma studies, contemplative meditation, I would highly suggest you to refer to these three volumes of Lama Tsongkhapa. Very important. Okay, so with this in mind, for the renunciation, the Lamrim is one thing, and there are many other teachings from the other traditions, Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma. They all have the points, all extracted from the Buddha's own teachings of the Four Seals. So if you focus on the practice of Four Seals, that would be the best thing. And whatever you learn from the different traditions, you can bring this up and pile up with the Four Seals of the Buddha's teachings as the foundation, as the main fabric. I would say not just foundation plus the main fabric on therefore for you to generate the renunciation. That is, all composite things impermanent, all contaminated things are suffering nature, everything is nature, emptiness, selflessness, transcending sorrows, absolute peace. So these the Four Seals. And the Four Seals, you can recite on a daily basis and also meditate on these Four Seals point by point on a daily basis. So that will be extremely helpful. And meanwhile, trying to say we can be as creative, say renunciation, except for the wisdom of emptiness, the second seal, the third seal, the first and second seal, you can be as creative. Likewise, for the bodhicitta, you can be as creative. But only for the wisdom of emptiness, I would suggest you not to be creative. Try to strictly follow the authentic teachings. Otherwise, if you become creative, your creativeness and can take you to craziness. This is very dangerous for the wisdom of emptiness. So, whereas for the bodhicitta, the wisdom of emptiness, the bodhicitta and the renunciation, for these two, be creative. The reason why I'm saying this is that the danger is not there. There's no danger for the reason that in any ways, renunciation, bodhicitta, the aspects of these things we experience every day. So you feel compassion towards your near and dear ones. For example, say how the mother feels this compassion towards the child. If you can extend this to all the beings, there's no danger of slipping into something wrong because you have the experience, first-hand experience. For example, like say somebody who has the feeling, the mother's feeling towards the child and you as a child's feeling towards the mother. If you can recall these intense and beautiful feelings, somebody says that, well, what is affection? Affection is a transaction. Say you give money to somebody, the person will be affectionate, and you will say, no, this is not. This is not. The child does not give money to the mother, but the mother's love is so beautiful. The person does not know this beautiful mind. So you have the experience. So because of this, there's no danger that you can fall into the wrong hands. Likewise, renunciation. We all have the experience. We all have shed tears. Shed tears means there's a pain. We all have the experience of pain. So this pain, you apply this, you try to extrapolate it, you try to extend it, even while we are still very healthy. Okay, so I have the danger. Anytime I can become sick, anytime something can go wrong to my relatives, anytime I can die, anytime, say, my mind can go crazy. You have that experience. So you can just extend this. And then, or something happened to this person who's otherwise like, a big shot and suddenly just dropped and now going through, say, becoming the word homeless. And then there's somebody who's a celebrity. And then because of the drug issues, now becoming homeless and so forth. We have this experience. We have seen that, heard this. So because of this, for renunciation, if you can gather this information, apply it to yourself, and you put yourself in their shoes, and then you end up seeing that I can go through nightmare. I can go through nightmare if these things happen to me. And it can happen anytime. So this is the renunciation. So therefore, the danger of us slipping into, let's say, the wrong hands will not be there, and with renunciation and bodhicitta practice. So therefore, in these two cases, be as creative. While the main structure remains the same for renunciation, the four seals. And then on top of that, to make this rich, for example, all composite things impermanent. Say the Queen of England, once upon a time, is so powerful and extremely dignified. Yes, of course, she's so dignified, it's amazing. Whether people agree or not agree, I truly have a deep respect to her. But now no more. And these people, anyone, even today, currently, and then they pass. Look at these things. Remember these. Use this information. Think more, and naturally, our understanding of the all-encompassing things are impermanent will strike more and more in us, and then our feeling, our emotions of attachment, craving power, and sensual desires, and anger, competition, these things will minimize, seeing that our life is so ephemeral, so impermanent. So this is one thing. So meanwhile, we can enrich these, the main skeleton-like teaching and they offered to us by the Buddha. So, and then the next, all composite things are impermanent. What is composite? Composite phenomena. Sorry, all the contaminated things are self-nature. What is contaminated? Contaminated by own thoughts, by afflictions, by ignorance. So when we are contaminated by these thoughts, we become a slave. We become a slave. And they say just this afternoon, with the teaching that the NDC, Nalanda Diploma course that we did this afternoon, I shared this. And here also, I'd like to share this because some of you are there in the last teaching and many of you are not in that teaching. I'd like to share this. Same, and what happened, all contaminated things are suffering nature. What is contaminated? End result is suffering. End result is suffering. What do you mean by contaminated? Simple. Contaminated karmas, our wrong actions. What are the wrong actions? What I think I'm doing is all good actions. No, not necessarily. We don't know. But you are, for example, compassionate actions. Truly compassionate. Sometimes we look for excuses to say that, oh, my action is compassionate, although driven by selfishness, which is not superficially maybe compassionate, but it is selfish driven. So because of this is very contaminated by the selfishness, contaminated by ignorance, contaminated by afflictions. So there, what is contaminated gives rise to miseries. When the contamination is there, the result is miseries. Okay, so the example that I gave in the early class is that there's one gentleman, I'm not going to mention the name, I'm going to not to mention the name of the institute also. And about few months ago, 5-6 months ago, this person became associated with this center. This center, I'm not going to give the details at all. This person became associated with the center. The moment I came to sense that this person become associated with the center, I sense, okay, now the two hands are coming together. Explosion of miseries will happen. I sense that. Both have a problem. The center is a problem and the person is a problem. Both have a problem. And I thought, okay, now, eventually I'm going to hear something wrong. I heard it. And even this person doesn't know that. This person actually outwardly looks very smart, very intelligent, knowledgeable. But I could see that, okay, no, now things will not go well. And so, look, which means that what you are sensing of me, the outcome, this is purely mechanical. Mechanical meaning, for example, let's say that if you say that like, what is that? There's the bricks or there's just like this, one after they are all put one after each other, and you push one, and the one pushes, the first pushes the second pushes the third, and eventually the last, everything will fall apart. So likewise, I could sense it. I sense that, which means that, look, mechanical meaning that you have no freedom. This is what is bound to happen. And it actually happened today. This morning, I heard that the explosion already happened. So this was what I sensed long time ago. It's not my clairvoyance. Clairvoyance, you can say, okay, this is a different story. This is what the Buddha taught. All contaminated things, the result is going to be misery. So therefore, it's not that this person, I truly deep inside, I feel so sorry for that person. I feel so sorry for the center. Because where the contamination is there, we lose our freedom. I lose my freedom. He loses his freedom. The center loses his freedom. Center is nothing. Center is run by the people. And the people, they have their contaminations. Oh, this is a huge problem. And I feel truly sympathetic to the person. I just wish to just embrace this person and tell the person, I'm very sorry that this happened. Not because you are not to be blamed. You have the Buddha nature. Only the contaminations which we fail to address. Contaminations, these are the things which drag us into problems. So this was what came to my mind very strongly. And from that, what I felt very strongly was that all of us, particularly that we who come in contact with this incredibly brilliant lights of Nalanda teachings taught by the Buddha, we should take advantage of this life today to make sure that these contaminations which bully us, which dictate us, which maneuver us, that should be under control, and then we should take control of the contaminations so that contaminations does not have the upper hand. This is what we have to do in this life. So including what? One thing that you and I, not only you, me also, what we need to think of doing is that all our bad habits, whatever bad habits that we have, for example, like telling lies, for example, like they say a little laziness, being a little lazy, or say like, for example, let's say in the winters when the weather is very cold and you are in a very cozy bed, just the prospect of getting up makes you feel like feeling cold. I don't want to get up. No. This is laziness. This is a part of contamination. This will one day it will bully me, right? I have to challenge this. Just give a challenge. Get up. Okay. But when I talk these things, when I say like this, some people, they go to the extreme. Some people who are sick, who are physically sick, who are on heavy medications. And that, okay, Geshe is telling me he's exactly, although he's talking in the public, actually he meant me. And then they try to push themselves. They have to sleep for like morning 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock because of the heavy medication. You sleep. Oh, Geshe was talking to me. I used to sleep, and he's expecting us to get up at 6 o'clock. Oh, now I have to get up. It's laziness. No, I'm not telling those people who are on heavy medication, who truly require the most sleep. Make sure that you take care of your health. Where 6 hours sleep, 7 hours, I would say 7 hours sleep standard. 7 hours sleep, 10 hours sleep, for somebody, no difference. These people, I would say, get up after 7 hours of sleep. Whereas those people is a difference. Where some sleep, you still, because of this, you have the health issues, then sleep more. Daughter said, bed rest. It doesn't mean get up at 6 o'clock. So these are exceptions. Don't mix up two things. So some people, they take this so seriously to the extent that not applicable to them, they apply to them. Those people who have to apply this, they don't apply, right? So when I give the exceptions, everybody thinks that they're exception. So therefore, we should be smart enough to see where you fall under. So I made it very clear, say 8 hours of sleep for you or 7 hours of sleep versus 10 hours sleep for you, there is no difference. Go for 7 hours. Is the remaining 2 hours is the loss of the time because of the laziness. And laziness is a part of affliction, is a part of contamination. And this contamination will lead us to miseries. All contaminated things are suffering nature. Okay, so this is what we need to remember, and particularly any unfortunate things that you have seen in other people. For example, like people go into, so bad habits. And the bad habits, I would say that if somebody's already new to bad habits, or like alcoholism, drugs, or bad habits of, the, what is the English word? I don't know. The, say, I don't know what's the English word. Say you borrow money, huge amount of money from this person, and then again you from another person, and finally you don't pay. Okay, so what I'm saying is that these bad habits, this is the time for you, for me, for all of us. This is a time to make sure that to free yourself from the prison of the bad habits. Prison is not a nice thing. And bad habits, these are nothing but a prison. And this prison is the prison of contamination. And with the contamination, it will only take us to miseries. While even the bad habits, when we engage in these bad habits, we have the feeling that this, whatever we're doing, so that I'll be happier. It's just the opposite. It's just the opposite. It takes us to drag us into deeper miseries. This is very, very sad. And today is incredibly great. I would say that each one of us, we are made 1,000 times more fortunate, more meritorious than the pharaohs of the past, than the kings, queens, presidents, prime ministers of the world today. We are 1,000 times more meritorious because that we get the opportunity to hear these, to learn these things. That, okay, now I have the great opportunity. I should not waste my time. I have to say change this habit. Whatever habit, for example, like habit of being sulking somebody, or habit of backbiting others. Just say bye-bye to all these bad habits. Backbiting people. This is extremely harmful to yourself. And then sulking. And then just see how, if you don't know how to do the opposite of backbiting, if you don't know how to do the opposite of sulking, then or grumpy. If you don't know how to do the opposite, okay, I learned that today this is the opportunity for me to do that, but I don't know how to do that. Your friends, look at the friends. Not that all friends are sulking, not that all friends are grumpy, not that all friends are embezzlement. Somebody who is very clean, not engaging in embezzlements, not engaging in evading the taxes. Learn from this person. Somebody who is, you meet with, the person meets a lot of complications from the environment, and yet the person deals with so much with gentleness and calmness. Learn from that person how not to be grumpy, how not to be aggressive. Learn this opportunity to learn from others. This is a great opportunity. Let us try to say, you, myself, each one of us, try to say goodbye to our bad habits in this life. If not, these bad habits will, if you don't tame them, they will tame you to miseries. So this is opportunity for us, for you and for me. This is the meaning of all contaminated things are of nature. So try to make it rich. The Buddha's already laid the foundation, already laid an incredibly strong foundation. All contaminated things are suffering nature. We don't think at all. Now we just embellish this, what the Buddha taught, what the Buddha guided us. Embellish this with more experiential things that you have seen in your life, that you've encountered in your life, to make it very rich. Then number 3 is everything is the nature of emptiness, selflessness. So finally, how to give a dead blow to all your miseries is by seeing the wisdom of emptiness. For that, we need to have the experience of emptiness. Experience of emptiness, only the experience of emptiness can revolutionize our emotional world. And to gain this experience of emptiness, we need to have it should be preceded by the conviction in the emptiness, confidence in the emptiness. To gain confidence in emptiness, we need to have the vast, extensive learning of emptiness. So learning, wisdom draws through learning, wisdom draws through contemplation, and the wisdom draws through meditation. So emotional transformation will take place through the wisdom drawn through meditation, which in turn requires the wisdom drawn through contemplation to gain confidence in this, and which in turn requires the extensive study, wisdom drawn through learning. So this is the way and manner in which to do that. For that matter, what we require is, again, for all of us, to make sure that we come in contact with the correct information, complete information, and systematic information. That is so important. Oh, that guru is giving empowerment here. Oh, that is a very famous guru giving empowerment here. Forget about all these things. And I personally feel tired about all these things. Now, my confidence is in the Nalanda Great Master's teachings. Systematic, correct studies of the Nalanda teachings. And then the complete, not just partial, complete, and that to systematically study this, and then you will reach somewhere. This is a hope. And next life, you want to become a Jizmilarepa. Next life, you can become Jizmilarepa. You are ready. Otherwise, we have no preparation. We have no ingredients. And we think that I'm going to be the biggest of the chef. This is an illusion. So no studies, no background. They said the merit accumulation, wisdom accumulation from the past life. And you hear about Milarepa, whose background is so rich from the past life. And you think, I'm also following Milarepa tradition. It's an illusion. So this is what we need to do. Let us not fool ourselves. Each one of us, let us not deceive ourselves. So let us be kind to ourselves, and let us be wisely kind to ourselves. So this is about the renunciation. With this in mind, then is feeling a very deep conviction that may I experience this ultimate reality where all my sorrows and contamination dissolve. My peace is the experience in its ultimate form. May I forever remain in this experience. That is known as renunciation. Let me repeat it. What exactly is renunciation? There are so many versions of renunciation. Oh, renouncing the miseries, desire to renounce the miseries. This is also renunciation. Desiring to remove the afflictions is also renunciation. Desiring to stop the involuntary burden of samsara, this is also renunciation. Desiring to stop all the contaminants afflictions is also renunciation. And finally, desiring to stop the self-grasping ignorance is also renunciation. But the ultimate understanding of renunciation, the most refined understanding of renunciation is may, renunciation aspiration, may I experience this genuine emptiness where all my sorrows and tears dissolve. And may I experience the ultimate peace in this experience of the emptiness where all my sorrows are transcended. So that aspiration is the ultimate understanding of renunciation. You ask His Holiness, you ask Ari Nagarjuna, you ask the Buddha, they will say that this is the ultimate answer of renunciation. For this, we require deep study of emptiness, without which it's not possible. So therefore, again, come back to the Nalanda studies, the teachings of the great Nalanda masters. Next is the bodhicitta. For the bodhicitta, there are two methods. The sevenfold cause of effect method to generate bodhicitta, and the method of equalizing and exchanging self for others. So I would say that I would be very bold enough to tell you that if not for these two methods, whatever practice that you do related to the bodhicitta, four immeasurables and so forth, you will never have the experience of bodhicitta. So these two methods, not easy. It'll take time. And it's also a toil. It is quite stressful. It's quite energy consuming. But these are two things to be done to feel this beautiful, the most beautiful mind that possibly exists in this whole universe. This is most beautiful mind, bodhicitta. Altruistic intention to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is the most beautiful mind. And for that, these are the two methods. We have to practice these two methods. So a gist of this method, I'm not going to go into details. Again, if you have to go into this detail about this Buddhism method, we require minimum like 10-day teaching. 10-day teaching with minimum 3 sessions a day with the morning practice. A total about like maybe, I don't know, 10 plus 3, 30 over like 40 hours of teaching required for this. So if you're interested, we have more detailed instruction given as a part of the Nalanda Master's course, and more precisely with the Nalanda Diploma course. In the different Nalanda Diploma course, now we're going through the 5th batch. I think we have done with the bodhicitta in this batch. So now we have to practice these two methods. And the gist of this is that every time, first of all, we must get a conviction that I don't want suffering, and I want happiness. And suffering, the root is the selfishness, self-grasping, ignorance, and the selfishness. Selfishness is like the self-grasping is like the person is the person who creates a weapon, and self-centered attitude is the one who shoots a weapon at you. So self-centered attitude is extremely vicious. For the self-grasping, okay, to be very honest, I would say that self-grasping ignorance, if not supported by self-centered attitude, we will not really have the suffering. We will not have the suffering samsara. Just the loss of freedom in general is there. Loss of freedom is there, but acute pain that we are going through, acute pain, this will never happen had it not been for the self-centered attitude. So self-grasping ignorance will make sure that you are in the bound of samsara. You are in the prison. Within the prison, you are happy, not happy, and so forth. You are going through all the pains. That is decided by the self-centered attitude, not by self-grasping ignorance. So self-grasping ignorance makes sure that you are in the prison, to believe that the world is intrinsically real and you are trapped there. Self-centered attitude is the one which makes you to act. Okay, I want this, I don't want this, he's so bad, and then you destroy the other person, you accumulate negative karma, and then you end up into severe hell realm. All these things are because of the instigated by the self-centered attitude. So that the self-centered attitude is there, which is the mastermind, alongside the self-centered, self-grasping ignorance, that self-centered attitude. This is the one which destroys all my happiness and attracts all the miseries. That conviction must come to us. Then on the other hand, then how to get out of this? How to get out of the self-centered attitude, which destroys us? Go to the opposite force. What is the opposite force which can protect you? For example, like there's a very nasty neighbor, a child is beaten by the nasty neighbor, and then child escapes. Where does the child run to? Well, the child will run to the mother or the father. So we have to run away from selfishness. Where? Other cherishing. Then the other cherishing becomes so precious for us. It becomes like a safe haven for us. Not that I'm cherishing you, so you should feel grateful to me. No, I'm grateful to you because then I get the chance to cherish you. Therefore, I'm being freed from the self-centered attitude. And because of this, I'm freed from the miseries. In a way, you are helping me that I be free from miseries. So, they say contemplating on the demerits of the selfishness. Seeing the selfishness is the root of the demon, the most demonic root of my miseries. And the other cherishing is a safe haven, like my mother, who is so loving, caring, always there to protect me. So be wise. Thus far, the mark of the ordinary person and a realized person. Ordinary person is that who sees the self-centered attitude as your safe haven. Oh, with self-centered attitude, then it helps me. Like what Charles Darwin said, For Charles Darwin, I don't know whether Charles Darwin, although there's a mention of the selfish genes, but Charles Darwin, what he said, and that the implicitly we can see the selfish genes is what we can say Charles Darwin is indicating. He talked about the instincts of the human emotions, instincts. These emotions of attachment, aversion, and fear, these are the instincts. Instinct means imprinted in your genes. They're coded in your genes. And we cannot do anything, number one. Number two, not only that we cannot do to get rid of these, they are required for your sustenance, for your survival of the fittest. This is Charles Darwin. But in reality, what the Buddha taught is very different. Not only what the Buddha taught, if we analyze, we see that what the Buddha taught is so profound. What Charles Darwin said is true to some extent on a superficial level. On a deeper level, we said that what the Buddha taught is so profound. And in a way, Charles Darwin said that there's no hope. You have to live in attachment, anger, and jealousy and fear. If you don't have the fear, tiger will come and eat you up, finish. So you have to live in fear. But the Buddha said, no, why should you have to live in fear? Fear can be got rid of. So for that, then the Buddha explained deep psychology, extremely profound psychology, and extremely profound philosophy. So with this in mind, the Buddha identified the selfishness as the root of the miseries and the other cherishing as the root of happiness. So this we should be convinced. We should be convinced through studies, through contemplation, through meditation. We should be convinced. Once we're convinced with this, then I would say that even though you may not be able to practice the sinful cause-and-effect method and the method of the equalizing exchange method every day like this, but then the way you are very busy, you can just contemplate on demerits of selfishness and benefit of other cherishing. And other cherishing in the form of safe heaven. It's a protector. It's your protector. When you start to feel that, more you think about this, both your compassion automatically grows. And initially, it is like cherishing myself is like a business transaction. Initially, because okay, I cherish others, then I'm protected. So there's the business transaction there. I cherish you, and I get the benefit. That I can protect it. But later, after a while, then it'll change into a very different feeling whereby I cherish you. That itself is the gift from me. I don't care that I'm protected or not protected. This is the next level of the compassion. This thing, when you reach that level, this is so extremely beautiful, extremely. Then you can feel as a mother's love to a sentient beings. That is so beautiful. At that point, you can describe this feeling as the most beautiful mind in the whole universe. So this is what we need to keep in mind, the bodhicitta. And then with this mind, you start to feel this mother's love. The mothers, I would say they're very sensible mothers, not all mothers, very sensible, very compassionate mothers who give unconditional love to the child. So when you feel this towards all the beings, the more the expansive, more the beautiful feeling is amazing. If somebody can take a pill of this, a pill, and that just a fraction of this feeling, you feel the billionaires will be busy to buy this. So this is a very beautiful, amazing. But mothers feel that with the child. The moment it shifts to others, then the jealousy comes. Your neighbor's child is doing better than your child, jealousy comes. Whereas this one, if you can shift to others, then anybody good does something good, you feel so happy. Like the mother feels joy to see that your child is faring so well. You feel the same thing to anybody, your neighbor's child, your animal, the insects, the goddesses, the prime ministers, kings, queens, anybody who's doing good or who is you're feeling the joy, you feel the exuberant joy. When that happens, it's so beautiful, it's an amazingly beautiful mind, which we have never experienced before. So that is bodhicitta, where, and finally, the feeling that, okay, and all these beings are, after all, they're suffering because of my own experience of this self-centered attitude, self-grasping ignorance, how I'm being tortured by these two demons. This is exactly what these two things are doing to all the demon sentient beings. They are suffering terribly. I will take the responsibility that they are freed from these two demons, and I will take the responsibility. So for that, may I become Buddha for the benefit sentient beings. When I wholeheartedly feel this, that is bodhicitta, number 2. Then number 3, the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, this aspiration may hearted moving experience where you just feel like crying and reading Bodhisattva Shantideva's text, chapter 1, end of the chapter 1. Oh, no, chapter 3, end of chapter 3, the last I think 8 or 9 verses of chapter 3. Bodhisattva Shantideva explains how that generating bodhicitta is like the medicine to quell the disease of all the beings. How it is the food to remove the hunger of all the hungry people. How it is like the elixir to heal all the beings who are otherwise going to die. And how this is like the sun to remove the misty ignorance of all the beings. How it is like the moonbeam to relieve the pain of the afflictions in sentient beings, and describing that as the essence of the butter, the butter churned through the milk, this essence of the Buddha's teachings. So this is so beautifully explained by Bodhisattva Shantideva. So this is where this bodhicitta practice. Then finally, how to make it happen. It's a amazingly beautiful mind. And if you get just a fraction of this experience, you will forget everything else. Nothing is of any important thing. Nothing is of any importance to you. This most beautiful thing. The next question is how to make it materialize. This aspiration, may I become Buddha. How to become Buddha? Remove the mental dirt. How to remove the mental dirt? Buddhahood is already there within us. Reading the Buddha himself said that the Buddhahood is within each one of us, and the text, the text, the sutra which the Buddha taught, the title which is Daga Ishigito, is it the transcendental wisdom at the hour of the death, wisdom at the hour of the death. So a bodhisattva, 10-gram bodhisattva, asked Buddha, how should a bodhisattva think when the bodhisattva is about to leave the world? Then the Buddha taught how to think. 5 points are indicated. 5 points are indicated. So where Buddha taught about the emptiness reality, we have to remember the emptiness reality of all things. We have to remember compassion. We have to remember the illusory nature of the luminosity nature, the luminous nature of all phenomena, and we have to be mindful of the impermanence of all things. So this is what the Buddha taught. So with this, the Buddha, and then finally Buddha concluded by saying that don't look for the Buddhahood somewhere. It is within your mind, your own mind. So because the Buddhahood is within your own mind, we have to uncover this. How to uncover this? Remove the dirt. Gold mixed with the mud. Don't look for the gold outside. The gold is inside you. Just remove the mud. Your job is done. The gold will glow inside us. So how to remove the mud? Apply the remedy. What is the remedy? Wisdom of emptiness. What is this wisdom of emptiness? Okay, let me quickly share with you 5 points. 5 points based on which we can meditate on emptiness. But for beginners, I would say that don't feel complacent with these 5 points. These 5 points are which I formulated based on the teachings of the Buddha, teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, teachings of all my teachers, based on the 17 great Nalanda masters, Nagarjuna, Bodhisattva Arideva, the Bodhisattva Buddhapalita, and Acharya Chandrakirti, Lama Tsongkhapa, and so forth. So this is just the summary of all the teachings there. And then for that, to make a full, the sense of what I'm sharing with you, we have to go through extensive studies. Okay, so the 5 points. the self. Number one, self. Number two, 6 elements. Number three, 2 questions. Number 4, the illusion-like meditative experience of the illusion-like, no, sorry, meditative experience of the space-like emptiness. And finally, post-meditative experience of the illusion-like emptiness. Let me repeat it. 5 points. 1, the self. Number 2, the 6 elements. Number 3, 2 questions. Number 4, the meditative equipoise of space-like emptiness. And finally, post-meditative experience of this illusion-like emptiness. 5 points. So how to meditate? And those of us who already have the great exposure to the emptiness studies and so forth, and so we can use these 5 points by putting all these into these 5 points. Okay. First, we talk about identifying the object of negation. With respect to emptiness, we need to, when you say emptiness, you are negating something. What are you negating? So in lieu of that, think of the self, I, because that the misconception I as object real is the one of the major factors for all the miseries to arise. So to see that, this seeing the self as object real, this is ignorance. So how do we know that? So for that, first we have to reject that the self exists as object real. But for that matter, we need to know how it appears, how the self appears as object real. So just think of you, just observe yourself. What am I doing? And how this person who identifies I appear to me as object real or like a dream subjectively imputed? Of course, so object real. This is a self-grasping ignorance first. The next, say, how to evaluate if this person truly exists as object real or is empty of object reality? Remember what Nagarjuna taught. If the mirage were to be water, or not those close by the mirage see water. In a similar token of reasoning, if this self who identified as I to be existing objectively, why do not see this the person as a close object? Okay, now this mind which goes closer towards this self is known as the ultimate analysis. In other words, we need to subject this self to ultimate analysis. Subject to self ultimate analysis, we end up seeing the 6 elements. Element earth, all the solid parts like your skeleton, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the skin, the solid parts constitute element earth. Element water, 4 liters of blood that your heart pumps in and out. Element of the fire, the body heat. Element of air, 4.6 liters of air that you breathe in and out through your lungs. And the element of space, 99.9% of your whole body is just vacuum. Element of consciousness, your mind. Okay, now you end up seeing the subject to self to ultimate analysis, you end up seeing the 6 elements. Okay, students experience. Number 2, 6 elements. Number 3, the 2 questions. First question, what are you seeing? I'm just seeing the 6 elements. Next question, where is the self who you earlier saw as so object real? Nowhere to be seen. It disappears. It's just empty in the eyes of the ultimate analysis, which equals to empty of objective reality. It doesn't mean self is empty. Whether or not self is empty is determined not by the ultimate analysis, it's determined by the conventional analysis. Whereas this mind is not a conventional analysis, this is ultimate analysis. And ultimate analysis only analyzes whether the things exist objectively or not that things exist or not. So what he decided is that this self is just empty, in the empty objectively, objective empty. So just stay in this experience. And for some of us, depending on how much you have studied, you have meditated, you have contemplated, to that extent you will feel the tinge of fear, or in some cases, cool, very cool waves can flow through your body. In some cases, a tinge of fear can come. In some cases, tickling sensations can flow through your body. In some cases, extremely tranquil feeling, very profoundly tranquil feeling, which you otherwise never experienced before, comes from the core of your heart. If any of these things, the experiences come. You're very fortunate. And if not, don't worry. Study more, contemplate more, and this experience is bound to happen. So just abundance experience of for some time, that to just gain this experience, the not affected, not influenced by other things can be very difficult. So try to maintain the quality of this experience. And so this experience, so what is known as the non-affirming negative. Non-affirming negative of this person stayed isolated of the emptiness of object reality of the self in the form of non-affirming negative. This is something that you need to, about in their experience is known as number 4, the meditative equipoise of the space like emptiness. Then from there, gradually come out of this practice, which means that your mind shifts from the ultimate analysis to the conventional analysis. The moment you shift to conventional analysis, again the self appears. So combining these two experiences, we see that in the initial stage, you're very confident objectively the self is empty. Now with the conventional analysis, conventionally, yes, the self does appear. So it's just a mere appearance, just like the illusion. It's empty from the object, but subjectively it appears this illusion-like and illusion-like nature. So stay in this experience, be aware that things are illusion-like nature. Empty object reality, subjectively it appears. Okay, that experience, just about this experience for a while, this is known as the post-meditative experience of the illusion-like emptiness. Very good. Okay, so this completes the 4 main points as the quintessence of extracting meaning, giving meaning to your life. So with this, then you end up with taking the aspiration bodhisattva vow. This again another extremely important point with the bodhicitta. Before the emptiness, bodhicitta, experience of bodhicitta that comes to you, manifest this in the form of the moon disk at your heart. And then meditate on emptiness. And then the experience of emptiness that comes to you, manifest that or transform this in the form of a vajra, white vajra, sitting on the moon disk of the heart. And then invoke great compassion towards all the beings. Then share this, imagine that this vajra moon at your heart. Moon is symbolic of the conventional bodhicitta, which is the ultimate remedy to overcome the selfish, self-centered attitude. And the vajra is symbolic of the ultimate bodhicitta, which is non-dual wisdom and emptiness, which is the final remedy to overcome all the mental defilements. And these two combined together will make sure that that you are able to eradicate all the mental defilements, thereby you experience fearlessness and then infinite happiness. So meanwhile, think of your 2 parents, your children, and all the dear sentient beings with this mind from the vajra moon to heart. Imagine that you generate very strong compassion, which invokes the vajra moon to multiply infinite number of times and share one set of the vajra moon at the heart of your mother, one set with your father, one set with each one of family members, including children, and one set with each of the beings, animals, human beings, hungry ghosts, hell beings, god and goddess, spirits, everyone, including all the trillions of the beings, creatures in the ocean, from the tiniest of the amoeba, unicellular organism, amoeba, to the biggest of blue whales, from the tiniest of the insects to the biggest of the elephants in the wilderness, so forth, to the god and goddesses, spirits, and the entire universe. And then recite these the verses. This is Damdul. Can you show these verses? Bodhicitta verses. Okay, so what we do is that then we recite these verses, which the Thinsam is sharing with us. These verses recite, and if possible, the first you make 3 prostrations to the Buddhas, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. Imagine that you all sentient beings are joining us, and then you sit on the right knees and with folded hands. Imagine all the beings are with you, and all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they are watching us to be the witness and the guests to our taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. And then you recite these verses, the 3 verses plus 2 more verses, total 5 verses. You recite these verses and then wholeheartedly contemplate on the meanings and try to invoke the experiences to the best you can. So with this, then you imagine that all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, they are so proud of you, so happy, on the way in the manner in which the mother, after all these many years of receiving complaints from the school principal, today the school principal comes and the mother is very apprehensive. What kind of complaints? And school principal today says, no, we came here to congratulate you. What for? Your daughter and your son, although they are very young, age 4, 5, 6, but they are appointed as the best students of the school for this year. And the mother could not believe her eyes in years after receiving all these complaints from the school principal over you as a little girl, little boy. And this is exactly what happens to all Buddhas. They are feeling so proud of you today that you were taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. And that since time immemorial till today, the Buddhas Bodhisattvas only wish that we stop all the miseries, we stop all the cause of miseries, and they be freed from miseries. On the contrary, we chase after the cause of miseries, we continue to suffer. And all the many lifetimes, they only wish that we embrace the virtues and experience the bounties of happiness. On the contrary, we shun the virtues and we remain deprived of the happiness. Today, what we do is something so different, which made all the Buddhas Bodhisattvas so proud. And this pride, the Buddhas Bodhisattvas feel, invoke the vajra moon at their hearts to multiply infinite number of times, like rain shower. Imagine they descend to merge with the one that is visualized at your heart, thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized, and blessed. Likewise, all the vajra moon from Buddha's Bodhisattvas, like rain shower, they descend to merge with the one that visualizes the heart of your mother, the father, each one of the children, the family members, all the beings here in the world, the human beings, the animals, the insects, hunter-gatherers, God and goddess spirits of this world, of the whole universe, whole Milky Way galaxy, whole universe, everyone thereby becoming non-dual, stabilized, and blessed. And you feel the joy of having done this. And then you end up with the next page. This is Damdul, next page. Page 51. Next page, just the next page. Next, yes. No, after this. So these two will be a part of the early three. No, this is Damdul, just the next page. Usually we do that, yes. So this verse we recited so that the practice that you have been doing in this life, that we again meet with the same practice in the future lifetimes. We include this in the form of very powerful the prayer. So here, throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the two precious bodhicittas, which means ultimate bodhicitta and the conventional bodhicitta, even across my life. Say this 3 times wholeheartedly. And then the remaining verses from Guided Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Namdullah. Remaining verses, page 25, verse 25 and down. So the remaining verses is just about like 7 or 8 verses, which I recited from Guided Bodhisattva's Way of Life. So this is exactly here. To feel the joy of the bodhicitta, benefit of the bodhicitta, the benefit, feeling joy over the result, contemplating on the benefit of the bodhicitta. So these verses, you wholeheartedly recite this, and then you end up with the dedication prayer. So this is it. Okay, thank you. So this is for the Shantideva's the part of the teaching. Thank you. Okay, some questions?
Geshe, if A is still here, would you like to unmute and ask your question? And if anybody else has a question, please raise your virtual hand or post it in the chat. I don't see any questions so far, Geshe, so may I ask you one question?
Yes, please.
You know, yesterday you had said we should be very clear about definitions, and you had defined, afflictions as kleshas and explained what that is. And then you also said that, not to confuse it with non-virtues, and that non-virtues pervade karma and afflictions. I was wondering if you could explain that, please.
Okay, this is a good question. This is a very serious question. And this is more little technical question. Okay, first let us put it like this. Okay, let's say, what is karma? The next is what is affliction. The next is what is non-virtue. And then see how they match with each other. So first, karma is the, say, in a broad sense, karma is the mental factor of the intention. Mental factor of intention, be it virtuous, non-virtuous, positive, negative, whatever, that is a karma. There's action. The real action is the mental intention, mental factor of the intention. So this intention can manifest in the form of physical karma or verbal karma. So thereby we are having three kinds of karma. Karma of the bodily, physical karma, verbal karma, and mental karma. This is karma. The next is what is affliction? Affliction is the mental factor, presence of which disturbs your mind. This is affliction. Then next is what is non-virtue? Non-virtue is a mental state, which can culminate or which can give rise to the suffering. Let me repeat it. This is a very precise definition. Non-virtue in Tibetan is migewa. So, see, non-virtue in Tibetan is migewa, and this is defined as a mental state. I'm not saying mental factor because it can be it can be a mental factor, or it can be the primary mind. It can be affliction, it can be contaminant karmas also, it doesn't matter. So it can be very pervasive, but what I can say is that it's defined as mental state, which ripens in the form of, whose primary function is to ripen into the suffering. That is the non-virtuous mind, non-virtue. Now, the next question is, how do we relate the non-virtue with the, say, negative karma, or non-virtue with the afflictions? How do you match the two? First, let us do that with the karma. With the karma, of course, the positive karma cannot be non-virtuous. Positive karma, virtuous karmas cannot be non-virtuous. Now, within the, say, the karmas, contaminated karmas, I was saying, contaminated karmas, they are the, say, contaminated karmas and non-contaminated karmas. Non-contaminated karmas, no question of being non-virtuous. So now, if there is non-virtuous, it should be within the domain of the contaminated karmas. Within the contaminated karmas, there we see that there are three kinds: contaminated, say, non-virtuous karma, contaminated virtuous karma, and contaminated the neutral karmas. Three. So from this, we see that by the very understanding of how we do the classification, say the non-virtue only pervades to the non-virtuous contaminant karmas. Now, what do you mean by non-virtuous contaminant karmas? How do you distinguish between non-virtuous contaminant karmas and the virtuous contaminant karmas? The distinction is that these two both are triggered by ignorance. Both are triggered by ignorance, therefore they become contaminated. But one is virtuous, one is non-virtuous. Equally contaminated, but one is virtuous, one is non-virtuous. What's the distinction? Virtuous is the one which gives rise to the suffering change, and the pervasive conditioned suffering. Whereas they say the non-virtuous karma will only give rise to the suffering. Let me repeat it. The virtuous karma gives rise to the suffering change and pervasive conditioned suffering. Whereas non-virtuous karma will only give rise to the suffering. So this is how we match the non-virtue with the karmas. The next, non-virtues and the afflictions. How do you again match the two? It's not that all afflictions are non-virtues. No, not true. Again, this is not just my way of, the crazy explanation or crazy wisdom. No, some people talk about crazy wisdom. No, I have nothing crazy wisdom. It should be very standard based on the text. So what the text says? What the text says is that affliction and the content. So we should have the facts. Facts should be there, and then you try to synthesize the facts, and you can come up with the brilliant ideas. That's good. Facts are missing, and then you come with some things which the ordinary people, wow. This is, it'll take you nowhere. It'll only deceive us. This is more like a movie entertainment. So we should have facts. So the facts come from the standard Nalanda masters. So one is the non-virtues and affliction. So given that the non-virtues definition, non-virtues is to give rise to suffering. Within the afflictions, there are two kinds of afflictions. Afflictions which give rise to suffering, and which doesn't give rise to suffering. Okay, now how do you distinguish the two? Afflictions, okay, first, for the easy understanding, the suffering exists only in desire realm. Suffering exists only in desire realm. It does not exist in the form realm and formless realm. Okay, this is for the people who already study these texts more thoroughly, and you understand what I'm saying. Those who are the beginners, and don't worry too much. Okay, just at least note them down. This will be very helpful for us later on. Okay, suffering exists only in the desire realm, not in the form and formless realm. So given that this is a fact, so therefore non-virtues exist only in the desire realm, because non-virtues give rise to suffering. So non-virtues exist only in the desire realm, and suffering exists only in the desire realm. Don't forget it. But afflictions exist in all three realms. Afflictions exist in all three realms. So therefore, afflictions of form realm, afflictions of formless realm, these two are non-virtues. They are afflictions. Next question. What of the afflictions in desire realm? Are they all non-virtues? Answer is no. Answer is no. Afflictions which are non-virtues exist only in desire realm. For example, like the human beings only exist in the desire realm, not in the form and formless realm. Human beings, form and formless gods. But it's not that all who are in the desire realm, they should be human beings. Not necessary. Animals, hungry hell beings, they're all there. So all afflictions desire realm, they are not non-virtues. But all non-virtuous afflictions are in desire realm. So now how do you distinguish between the afflictions within desire realm, which are non-virtuous and which are not non-virtuous? Okay, this distinction is very clearly made by Acharya Vasubandhu in Abhidhamma Kosh. So it says that Döna, I'm citing the source in Tibetan language. Döna jigso tawatang henchik. Okay, Döna jigso tawatang tarzin henchik marikpa. Döna jigso tawata tarzin henchik marikpa. Hamanamdir migewawo. This is the source citation from Abhidhamma Kosh. In the Döna means in desire realm. Jigso tawatang, self-grasping ignorance. Jigso tawatang, tarzin, and viewing the extreme of permanence and impermanence, within the extreme, along with the concomitant ignorance. The rest are non-virtues. So these two, these three: self-grasping ignorance of the desire realm, and then the view of the extreme of permanence, impermanence of the desire realm, and the concomitant ignorance of these two, ignorance concomitant with these two, these three are not non-virtuous. These two are neutral. They are not virtuous. They are not virtuous. They are not non-virtuous. They are neutral. They are neutral. But they are afflictions. So this is the technical response. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la. There is one more question from Laksh, if
Yes.
that's okay. Lakshmi,
Yes,
you can
yes, of
unmute
course.
yourself.
Thank you so much for your time, Geshe. Just two-part question. I'm pretty sure you covered you overlap a lot of those responses, but the direct question that applies to me, so when contamination brings short-term gratification but long-term suffering, how can one stop in the heat of stress and emotion? When it's extremely hard to think clearly and think back to your teachings. And then
Okay.
second, yep.
Okay, Laksh, I truly admire your question. Thank you so much. This is a very practical question. So we talk about the contamination giving rise to the miseries. But the contamination is not that at all times, at all moments, it gives rise to miseries. They give rise to happiness also. For example, you drink and you go a little, what is that? You become a little high and you feel pleasant. And you think sometimes you may feel that you are in heaven. And then they say some they can enter into the ditch and they still think that they're in heaven. So the reality is that what you said is very true. For example, like overeating, or let's say that they say the things which they say that they say the things which are short term very sweet, long term very sour. So this is what the Laksh is saying. Short term sweet, long term sour. How to deal with this? Short term sweet is something which we are lured by. So how to get away from this? Okay, this is a very serious question. In fact, I won't blame only the alcoholics or the drug addicts and so forth. I would blame almost everyone today. Almost everyone, not all. Almost everyone today becoming addicted to the mobiles, becoming addicted to the gadgets. This is also a form of, the intoxication. There's also the lure to the what we call as the short-term sweetness, long-term sourness. So how to get away from this? This is a very serious question. So I would say the one thing is that Buddha taught, Buddham sharanam gacchami, dharmam sharanam gacchami, sangam sharanam gacchami. Not easy. So therefore, the first thing is that you fence yourself well, fence yourself from the bad influence. Sangam sharanam gacchami, which means get away from the bad influence and be in the good influence. Is very important. This is so important. For example, like you as a little boy or little girl, and then your parents tell you to study well, be a good girl, be a good boy, and you carry a full bag full of books to school, and in the classroom, all the boys and girls, they are playing, they're throwing duster here and there, and then you feel so odd to see that you are holding a book and others are just playing. So you will keep the book aside and you also start playing. The next time you think that that everybody's playing, and then you get to go with a ball, and everybody's holding a book, and so weird that you're holding a ball. So you slowly drop the ball and you pick up a book. So this is because of the good influence. So one thing is that make sure that you are in good influence. This is one thing. Then number two is that the make sure that not only just be in the fence, but just keep growing. How? Try to keep yourself busy with some studies, not necessarily studies all the time, say your job or some volunteer work. Keep yourself engrossed, because our mind is an amazing tool. It can be like a monkey, full of energy. So full of energy doesn't mean that it's bad. But if you don't give job to this monkey can destroy everything. So whereas if you give something to the monkey, in his hand to beat the what? Something, destructive things. Then he'll do something so that the monkey is occupied. So likewise, keep our monkey mind occupied with doing something, something meaningful. So if you spend like some time reading good materials, nowadays is amazing. I wish that they said, I'm born now, I'm newly born now, so that I have amazing easy access to the wonders of the whole library. In the olden times, our library is locked. Nowadays, it's so easy. Just on the mobile, you can have the whole library of the world, not just a small library. So make sure that we always attach ourselves with reading some meaningful materials every day. And keep yourself occupied. This is the key. Keep yourself occupied, particularly not just on your own, but make sure that you're doing things alone with other people. So when you see other people not after the mobile, not after bad habits, then naturally you'll be away from this. So meanwhile, so these are the to make sure that you are not immediately caught up with the wrong habits. This is another thing. Then the next thing is the long term. So you have to have a self-sufficiency. That self-sufficiency comes from your own mind. So, and this mind is determined by your cognitive thinking. For example, okay, now let me have one shot. So last 2 months I did not have, I was busy with the NGO and this. Today let me have the one shot of the wine. And one shot changes to 2 shots. 2 shots changes to 3 shots. So say the one shot. Again, there also cognitive thing is there. Okay, if I take one shot, I will be happy. And that memory of the happiness is triggered within us. So the point is that, I say, you hear about inspirational stories from others. So people who stopped alcohol altogether, people who stopped the drugs altogether. You don't listen to, oh, it's very difficult, it'll never, then nothing will happen. There are so many successful people who succeeded in this stopping all these bad habits altogether. Try to get this information. Don't listen to the hopeless information. Oh no, this person tried it, and for the last 6 years he succeeded and again relapsed. Don't listen to these stories. Listen to the successful stories. There are many good stories, bad stories. Don't dig the ditch. Only smell. And take the perfume. Just look at the flowers. It'll give you very fragrant perfumes. So only gather the good information. You'll be inspired. And the fact that, for example, like Laksh, somebody who says, yes, what you said makes sense. Okay, contaminated things are subtle nature. I agree with you. But the contaminated things, they also give you immediate gratification, immediate joy. So that is the lure, how to get away from this problem. That recognition itself is so precious. It's so precious. The next thing, be with people who inspire you. Don't be people who say that this is difficult, that is difficult. We already lived since time immemorial till today. This is difficult, this is what we are today. Now be with the people who inspire you. And with this inspiration, seeing is believing. See how these people manage. Amazing how they can thrive so effectively. There's so much joy without drugs, without alcohol. There's so much of joy there. How come? Even somebody have the drugs and these things, still they don't have this joy, this much of joy as much as these people have. That's amazing, very inspiring, right? So we see that these are things that we can think of to curb the lure of the immediate gratification of the contaminated things. Lux, thank you so much for your question.
Thank you so much, Geshe.
Geshe-la, I know it's getting to be 10 p.m. and you've been teaching all day. There's 2 questions in the chat. Would you like to address them or save them for your next teaching at Shantideva Center?
We'll do it now.
Okay, so thank you, Geshe-la. So one question is, how would you suggest we organize our practice for shamatha and insight?
Okay, is it just the shamatha that I'm talking about, or the learning about the shamatha and special insight? So
Sheila, do you
that
want to ask? Oh, sorry.
if there is a one, we're talking about the 2 things, then that requires a more separate session. It cannot be done right here.
Sheila, did you want to clarify your question?
Thank you, Geshe-la. I was just wondering, do we do a session with shamatha and then separate with insight, or do you combine them both? Like, what's the best way to kind of establish a practice?
Okay, so for that, the best would be combined.
Combine.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And Geshe-la, the last question is, today is lunar eclipse, and actions during these hours, virtues or non-virtuous, are said to multiply by large numbers. Why is that the case?
Okay, so I'm the wrong person to ask these questions. I'm someone who doesn't believe in many of the things which you find in the Buddhist texts, right? It doesn't mean that simply because they are contained in Buddhist texts doesn't mean that they are taught by the Buddha. There are many things written by like people like me who are Buddhist and who wrote many things, right? Actually may not be what you find in the Buddha's teachings. We never find that. Okay, this is a very serious question. It is a question. Anyway, I'm the wrong person. I'm the wrong person. So finally, I believe in the Buddha's teachings, which summarize in commit no evils. It doesn't matter whether lunar, no lunar, commit no evils. Accumulate as great wealth of virtues, whether lunar, no lunar, accumulate great wealth of virtues. Tame your mind, whether lunar, no lunar, tame your mind, right? Don't wait for the lunar, right? You will miss the chance. Otherwise, the train will leave and the train will not come at all. And at the lunar time, you may die, right? Don't wait for the lunar. This is who I am. I'm the wrong person. I'm very sorry. Who's ever asked this question?
Okay, thank you very much, Geshe-la. And just before we end our session with reciting the
Why I'm
dedication,
saying this,
yeah.
why I'm saying this is that don't think that, okay, he is somebody, you know, he's totally out of mind. Because there is one great teacher from whom His Holiness the Dalai Lama received teachings on Are Nagarjuna's text. The Are Nagarjuna's text, Mool Madhyamika Karika, the fundamental wisdom of the middle way. And whose student, the Venerable Khensu Rinpoche, is the teacher of the Jeffrey and Laurie. 2 of them here, raise hands. Raise hands, yes. So 2 of them are very fortunate to be very closely a disciple of the most venerable Khensu Rinpoche, Jezun Wangda Rinpoche, and Jezun Wangda Rinpoche himself was a student of the most venerable Genshaku Khensu Rinpoche and Shakung Rinpoche. And Shakung Rinpoche was the one from whom His Holiness the Dalai Lama received teachings on Mool Madhyamika Karika, fundamental wisdom of the middle way, the main teaching on emptiness by Are Nagarjuna. So this great teacher, once when he was giving teaching in Debung Losena Monastery, and there was one young Rinpoche, very young little Rinpoche, who was also a student of him, and the next day happened to be what is known as the Ngemba Gunzum and Sambu Junzum, 2 days later, meaning 2 days consecutively, the next day and then the next day. So this little Rinpoche, this little monk, he wanted, because that he is treated as a Rinpoche, there is a sense of, you know, I'm somebody, you know, this is a problem. I'm somebody. And then he's being more direct. Whereas Venerable Game Shaku Rinpoche, he is a very serious practitioner and an incredibly great teacher, renowned teacher. But this Rinpoche and took the teacher very lightly and very intimately asked him, "Sir, tomorrow, day after tomorrow is Sambochusum, Nyembagunzum, and Sambochusum, 2 days, which are, special about this is very special days." So on the particular, I think Nyembagunzum is the day when the nine bad omens come together. So shall we have class tomorrow, right? So which means that, okay, don't do good things on Nyembagunzum. This is the common belief. And let's see, these are the things where the ordinary belief systems within the Buddhist community turn out as though like they are the standard Buddhist teachings. They can be very, very destructive. So this teacher, what he said is that, okay, if you guarantee me that you are not going to die tomorrow, then no class tomorrow. Tomorrow class is virtue, and tomorrow is Nyembagunzom. The day the 9 virtues come together, and according to the conventional norm, people say that don't do virtue on that day. So if you don't want to do virtue tomorrow, and if you, because of which you don't want to have the class tomorrow, which is very virtuous, then you first tell me that tomorrow you're not going to die. If you're not going to die, then don't do virtue. So whereas if you're not sure that even on the tomorrow Nyembagunzom, that you're not sure that you're not going to die, do virtue, because only virtues will guarantee that you will be freed and you will have a happy destination in the future. So this is logic. Be logical. Don't follow blindly. So the message is, don't wait till lunar. You may die before that.
Yes, thank you very much, Geshe-la. And we will end by reciting our dedication prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chenrezig Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. May the supreme bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and that may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the fallen find new hope, constant happiness, and prosperity. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their illness, and may every disease in the world never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. By the merits I have accumulated, may every single being abandon all forms of wrongdoing and perpetually engage in virtue. May they never be parted from the mind of bodhicitta, and may they always engage in the bodhisattva's conduct. May they be cared for by the Buddhas and relinquish the actions of devils. May no living creature ever suffer, commit wrong, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, or their minds ever be depressed. May all the pains of living creatures ripen solely upon myself, and through the might of the Bodhisattva Sangha, may all beings experience happiness. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Geshe-la, on behalf of all of us, I cannot thank you enough for your wholehearted and thorough teachings. And I just wanted to mention that this is the 4th year of you teaching for Shantideva Center, for which we're so grateful. And we hope you will continue for many, many years, and that you will come to the US, hopefully next year, where you can meet so many of your students who are waiting to meet you in person. So many of them have been studying online with you, like me, for so many decades. I won't say decades for me, but many of your students have been with you for so long and would love to meet you in person. So please, please consider coming to visit us soon. Thank you so much. And if everybody would like to unmute, you can unmute and express your greetings to Geshe-la.
Thank you,
Okay,
Geshe-la.
thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you,
Geshe-la.
Namdul. Thank you, Tibet House team.
Thank you, Sine.
Thank you, Sine.
Bye, everyone. Good night.
Good
And
night.
good
Thank you,
morning.
Geshe-la.
Bye.
Thank you, Geshe.